You know that moment when you've prepared for something for weeks, and then when it finally happens, your mind just goes completely blank? That was me, sitting in a real office across from a real interviewer, and suddenly I couldn't speak, not even one proper sentence.
Oh no, you froze?
Totally. My first job interview in English, the day I froze. But what happened next taught me more than any English class ever could.
That sounds like a story worth hearing. Start from the beginning. What was going through your mind before it all happened?
I remember that night so clearly, Alex. I thought I was prepared. I had my resume printed, my outfit ironed, and my notes ready. But when I lay in bed, my brain just wouldn't stop. I kept replaying every possible question they could ask me.
Oh, the classic pre-interview panic. What kind of job was it again?
It was for a marketing assistant position at a big company, formal, traditional, corporate type. I'd never had a professional interview in English before. My stomach felt like it was tied in 100 knots.
That's understandable, especially when it's in another language. You start worrying about every little word, every expression.
Exactly. I even practiced introducing myself in front of the mirror. I must have repeated, "Good morning. Thank you for giving me this opportunity," 100 times. Then I'd freeze, stare at my reflection, and think, what if I forget everything the moment I walk in?
The classic pre-interview panic. What kind of job was it again?
It was for a marketing assistant position at a big company, formal, traditional, corporate type. I'd never had a professional interview in English before. My stomach felt like it was tied in 100 knots.
That's understandable, especially when it's in another language. You start worrying about every little word, every expression.
Exactly. I even practiced introducing myself in front of the mirror. I must have repeated, "Good morning. Thank you for giving me this opportunity," 100 times. Then I'd freeze, stare at my reflection, and think, what if I forget everything the moment I walk in?
Been there. I used to do the same thing. You want to sound confident, professional, and natural, all at the same time. That pressure can make your English feel suddenly foreign.
Yes, like words I used every day suddenly felt heavy in my mouth. I kept second guessing myself. Should I say I'm responsible for or I handle? Is "I'm good at teamwork" too basic? And then I'd Google better phrases until midnight.
The late night Google sessions, classic. What about your outfit? You mentioned it was a formal office, right?
Yes, I picked a navy blue blazer, a white blouse, and simple black pants. I wanted to look serious, like someone who belonged in that world, but I kept wondering if I'd overdone it.
No such thing as overdressed for an interview. You made the right choice. Looking polished gives you a small boost of confidence, even if your hands are shaking.
True. Speaking of shaking, I actually tried holding a pen while practicing my answers, to keep my hands busy, but then I started dropping it every time I got nervous.
That's so relatable. I once brought a portfolio folder just to have something to hold. It made me feel like I had control, even if I didn't.
Yeah, I wish I thought of that. I just remember pacing around my apartment, repeating my answers out loud like a crazy person.
That's actually good practice. You were training your speaking reflexes, turning English thoughts into speech without translating.
I tried, but sometimes I'd forget a word and panic. I even downloaded an app for interview phrases and repeated them like flashcards. My strengths are adaptability and teamwork. My weaknesses are overthinking and perfectionism, over and over again.
Oh no, the strengths and weaknesses speech. Every candidate rehearses that one. But it's better to sound natural than memorized. Interviewers can sense when you're reading lines in your head.
Yeah, I realized that later, but at the time, I thought memorizing was my only safety net. I didn't trust myself to improvise in English.
I totally understand. It's hard when you're not thinking in English yet. You want control, and that leads to over-preparation.
Exactly. I even wrote down backup answers, like a cheat sheet in my notebook. I labeled it, "If I forget everything, read this." Of course, I knew I couldn't take it into the room, but writing it gave me comfort.
That's actually a good technique. Writing helps your brain organize your thoughts. It's not about memorizing, it's about reinforcing what you know.
Maybe. But then I looked at my resume again and started doubting everything on it. Is this experience enough? What if they ask about something I can't explain clearly? I even considered canceling the interview.
You didn't, though.
No, I came close. But then I thought, if I keep avoiding it, I'll never grow. I remember whispering to myself, you can do this. You just need to show up.
That's powerful, Anna. Most people underestimate how big that step is. Just showing up.
Yeah, I finally went to bed around 2 a.m., but my mind kept replaying possible questions, like, tell me about yourself. Why do you want to work here? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? It was like a nightmare of polite interrogation.
That's exactly what an interview feels like sometimes.
In my head, I'd answer fluently, but in real life, I worried my pronunciation or accent would make me sound less confident.
Oh, accents are a big insecurity for many learners. But honestly, interviewers don't care about perfect pronunciation. They care about clarity and confidence.
I wish someone had told me that then because I kept practicing pronunciation videos, how to sound professional in English, 10 polite expressions for job interviews. My YouTube history was embarrassing.
That's dedication. But you know what? All that preparation wasn't wasted. It helped you build awareness.
Maybe, but at that night, it didn't feel like progress. It felt like pressure. I even started practicing how to greet the receptionist, like, good morning, I have an appointment with Mr. Collins at 10 a.m. I said that line so many times, I started saying it in my sleep.
That's actually one of the best lines to rehearse. The greeting sets the tone for the entire interview. If you sound polite and calm at the start, it builds momentum.
Yeah, but calm wasn't exactly my vibe that morning. I woke up early, checked my outfit again, brushed my hair twice, and double-checked my bag. I even packed an extra copy of my resume, just in case they, lost the first one.
That's very professional. Always bring copies. Did you check the route to the office too?
Yes, I searched it on Google Maps like 10 times. I didn't want to be late, so I left home an hour early. I remember sitting on the bus repeating phrases under my breath. People probably thought I was crazy.
That's the sign of someone taking it seriously. Punctuality is huge in interviews. Being early gives you time to breathe and observe the company environment.
I arrived 20 minutes early. I sat in the lobby, trying to act calm, while my heart was beating so fast. The receptionist smiled and said, "Good morning, how can I help you?" And for a second, I forgot every English word I knew.
Oh no, the classic blank moment.
Yeah. Then I remembered my practice line, "Good morning, I have an appointment with Mr. Collins at 10 a.m." My voice was shaking, but I said it. She nodded and asked me to take a seat.
Nice recovery. That's how you handle it. Even if you're nervous, just say what you've practiced, smile, and breathe.
Exactly. Sitting there, waiting, I tried to calm down. I looked around the office, people in suits, quiet phones, the smell of coffee. Everything felt so professional and intimidating. That's when it hit me. This was real. This wasn't practice anymore.
That's the defining moment. The realization that you've stepped into the real world.
Yeah. I kept repeating to myself, you belong here. You belong here. Even though part of me didn't believe it yet.
Anna, that's what growth feels like. That uncomfortable space between fear and confidence. You're doing something new, and your brain is adjusting.
Maybe that's true, but at that moment, all I could think was, don't mess this up. I checked my resume again, even though I already knew every word. Then the door opened, and a man in a gray suit smiled and said, "Anna, we're ready for you."
And that's where the real story begins.
Yes, that was the exact moment my palms went cold, my knees felt weak, and my brain, well, it decided to take a short vacation.
The famous first question freeze moment is coming, isn't it?
You bet it is. But before that, I had to walk into that office, smile, and somehow pretend I wasn't completely terrified.
That's courage, Anna. Courage isn't feeling calm.
It's walking in even when you're scared.
I'll take that as a compliment. But believe me, Alex, if you'd seen me then, you'd have thought I was auditioning for a panic commercial.
Oh, we've all been there. The important part is you showed up, you took that first step, and that's how every success story begins.
After that first awkward question, I thought the interview was ruined. My mind kept replaying my mistakes like a broken record. But then something unexpected happened. The HR manager smiled kindly and asked, "Can you tell me more about your university experience?" That question somehow felt safer. I took a breath, smiled back, and started talking about my graduation project.
That's it. The moment you stop judging yourself and just talk.
Exactly. I stopped trying to sound perfect and just tried to connect. I said, "During my final year, I worked on a project that helped local shops digitize their sales. It was challenging, but I learned a lot about teamwork and communication." The interviewer nodded with interest, and suddenly I felt human again. My English wasn't perfect, but it was real.
That's powerful. You shifted from trying to impress to trying to express. That's what changes everything.
Yeah, it felt like that. And the funny thing, once I relaxed, the right words started coming naturally.
Exactly, because confidence and clarity unlock your vocabulary. When you're nervous, your brain freezes. When you relax, it flows.
After that, the questions felt easier. The HR manager asked, "What are your strengths?" And I said, "I'm good at adapting quickly and staying calm under pressure." Then she asked, "And what about your weaknesses?" And I smiled and said, "Sometimes I try to do everything at once, but I'm learning to prioritize better."
Perfect answers. Honest, confident, and positive. You showed awareness and growth. That's what they want to hear.
Thanks. Honestly, I think what helped me most was realizing I didn't have to be fluent. I just had to be clear. I focused on short sentences, natural expressions, and eye contact.
That's a great insight. People think interviews are about fancy words, but they're actually about communication. It's not about saying everything perfectly. It's about showing who you are through your tone, confidence, and attitude.
Yes. I remember at one point the interviewer said, "I like your energy." That's when I realized she wasn't judging my English anymore. She was connecting with me as a person.
And that's the turning point every language learner dreams of. When you're no longer the candidate who's nervous about English, but just you, a capable person having a real conversation. All right, let's break this down for everyone listening, because what Anna went through is so common. Here's how you can overcome that freezing moment and turn it around, just like she did. 1. Use filler phrases to buy time. Don't panic if your mind goes blank. Use phrases like, "That's a great question," or "Let me think for a moment," or "Well, I'd say." These short lines give your brain a few seconds to breathe. 2. Smile and maintain eye contact. Even if you're nervous, a genuine smile tells the interviewer you're confident and approachable. Eye contact creates connection, and it helps you feel more in control. 3. Focus on communication, not perfection. Your goal isn't to speak perfect English. It's to share your story clearly. Simple sentences like "I learned teamwork" or "I improved my skills" are better than long, complicated ones full of mistakes. 4. Prepare your core answers. Have short and clear responses ready for common questions. Tell me about yourself. Why do you want this job? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Practice them out loud, not to memorize, but to feel comfortable saying them. 5. Visualize success before the interview. The night before, imagine yourself walking in calmly, shaking hands, smiling, and speaking naturally. Visualization actually trains your mind to believe you can handle it. 6. Turn mistakes into momentum. If you make a small mistake, don't freeze. Just smile and correct yourself. Oh, I mean, or, sorry, let me say that again. It shows professionalism, not weakness.
That's so true. I wish I'd heard that advice before my interview. But I guess that's how we learn, through real experience.
Exactly. Every mistake is practice. And honestly, Anna, what you did, regaining control halfway through, that's something to be proud of.
Thanks. Looking back, I think that was the real success. Not getting the job, but learning how to stay calm under pressure and speak with confidence.
And that's a message worth remembering. Confidence doesn't come from knowing every word. It comes from believing that what you do know is enough.